Welcome to Running Down the Clock, where we break down all of this week's big news, events, and controversies from the National Football League. Over the next 45 minutes, we will give you basic fan perspective and opinion on the most important stories and moments happening now. So, let's start the clock. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Running Down the Clock. I am Tyler Walzak. I am here with Poya Ricey, as always. Poya, we're doing NFC North, AFC North this week, but you have something we want to talk about first.
Hall of Fame stuff?
Yes, Hall of Fame stuff. Which is, I know it's weird to always talk about that before going into a season. It has nothing to do with the guys that are on the field this upcoming month. But
I think it actually has a lot to do with guys who haven't been on the field in years now.
5 years specifically.
Yeah.
I think it takes 5 years you have to be retired for 5 years before you can become eligible to be in the Hall of Fame. So here are some of those players now that will be eligible for the first time next year. We'll just go quickly whether or not you think they get in first time on the first time ballot. Julius Peppers.
No.
Antonio Gates.
Yes.
Eric Berry, safety for the Chiefs.
I want to say yes, but I think no.
You want to say yes because of his comeback, his story.
Yeah.
Jamal Charles.
That's a tough one.
For the Chiefs.
I feel like yes, but yeah, I'm going to go yes.
Wide receiver Brandon Marshall.
That's another tough one. I don't think so. I don't think on the first.
Adam Jones, defensive back.
I don't think he goes at all.
Jordy Nelson, wide receiver.
No.
Andrew Luck, quarterback.
Could have been, but no. I think after walking away from the game, no. He's kind of sealed his own fate on that one.
And then the last one, kind of a notable name, is wide receiver Doug Baldwin.
No, I probably know Doug Baldwin the best out of those guys, having watched most of him, just being a Seahawks kind of guy. But no, I don't think so. I don't think these are first ballot Hall of Famers. I don't think this is a very good first ballot Hall of Fame class. Other than Antonio Gates, I think gets in just because, tight ends are, he's one of the top tight ends. He was around for, I think, guy played till he was 50 years old or something. Like,
so I don't know about that, but
he played for a long time.
In more perspective, in terms of, I personally don't think any of these guys will be first time ballot Hall of Famers. But anyone who has a chance that's going to be close to it is going to be Antonio Gates. And the reason I think that is because the tight end position has changed over the past 5 years and there was Gonzalez, and then the next guy kind of was Antonio Gates. And now the tight end is like Kelsey. So they're catching more passes. They're getting more yards. They're getting more touchdowns. They're becoming more of a athletic skill position than they used to be, which means to me that there's probably not a lot of tight ends that are in the Hall of Fame because of their catching ability. So they might want to fill that up a little bit quicker, which means that I think Antonio Gates could get in the first ballot, but he'll get in. I just don't know if it'll be first ballot. Julius Peppers will get in. I'm not sure it'll be first ballot. Eric Berry will get in, but his story is better than probably his on-field production. I don't think Brandon Marshall gets in. I don't think Adam Jones gets in. I don't think Jordan Nelson gets in. Andrew Luck, I don't think he gets in. He should be in, but I don't know if he'll get in. I don't even know if Doug Baldwin will get in.
Why should he be
if he stayed playing the game?
Yeah,
he'd be an all-time great.
Sure, but
so that's what it means. Like should as in it, like he should have kept playing.
He could have. Could have. Not
should have been. Okay, he could have been in.
Yeah,
very good, very good. I'm Jamal Charles. I'm not sure if he gets in or not. No. Brandon Marshall, no. Jamal Charles, like the thing is, like he was really good. It's just I don't know his stat. I don't have his stats in front of me. But he was
never great. Like he never experienced a lot of success, and in terms of did he ever go to a divisional conference final game?
Yeah, I think he must have.
Did he?
I don't know. I don't know, but I don't know what his stats would be. Probably good over maybe 2 or 3 years, but I don't know if he's got the prolonged 8-year stats that running backs kind of need to have. Okay, let's get to this. Is our last divisional / conference, however you want to put it. We're doing both divisions from the conference of the North. We're going to lead with the AFC because I know I'm going to want to talk about the Lions at the very end, as we always do. AFC North, Browns, Bengals, Ravens, Steelers. Let's go with the Bengals because they kind of are the favorites to win this division. It's always been a tough division to win. Um, Zach Taylor, head coach. We got our boy Justin Burrow coming back, going to play week 1.
Justin
Um,
Bale?
Not Justin Burrow.
No, I feel like it's Joey Burrow,
It's
Joe
it's
Burrow.
it's Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't know why I put Justin. Joe
Uh,
Burrow. Joey Burrow.
so I think they're probably the majority favorites to win the division. My only thing about these guys is I've got something similar with them, and I'm going to say them and the Browns in the fact that I don't think either team got better this year. Those two teams. So the Bengals, yes, I think they're still, when they're healthy, when their guys are performing, they are the favorite to win that division. And this is still their window with how well Joe Burrow can play to compete for a Super Bowl. I didn't see them actually get better this offseason, did they? I think they lost even some of their better safeties, no? Hoping that some young guys are going to replace.
Nailed it. You nailed it on the head. So basically, they have run back most of their roster from 2022. And what they've missing is the back end of their defense. So the whole entire secondary is completely revamped. But that's so you nailed that. But the problem with what you're saying is that secondary last year was ranked 27th in the league. So they kind of got rid of all those guys and brought in younger, cheaper guys that could be better. I mean, you can't be much worse than 27th. So if anything, they could be a little bit better.
Fair enough.
But you're right. Like, so they didn't bring in much else, but also they didn't lose. Like Joe Mixon's back now. Everyone kind of remembers Joe Mixon as that bruising back that can get it done, but he has only been averaging fewer than 4 yards per carry his last 3 seasons, even. So he's on a decline. They brought in some rookies and some new guys, Travion Williams, Chase Brown. They got rid of his old backups, which is a little bit worrying. But I mean, the wideouts are still there, and arguably they have the best 3 wide receiver pairings in the league with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd.
Yeah. And this could be kind of the window closing on that pairing if, let's say, T. Higgins wants to go somewhere else for some more money.
Yeah, this could be the downfall of like their window.
Yeah.
Of the Super Bowl.
The other
especially
thing,
because the AFC is so good.
The biggest side of it is they're a little bit hush-hush on this Joe Burrow injury. I'm a bit of a skeptic. When a guy gets hurt, I feel like, this could lead to more injuries throughout that season, right? If they come back too early. Now, I know that they're going to try and let it. What some of the teammate comments were that they were going to let him heal up. No rush to bring him back. We'll get you back sooner than we'll get you back eventually. We need you for the end of the season, not the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Jamar Chase, hopefully they played smart, and because he is a fun guy to watch.
Of course.
Their games are good. Bengal games are good now. Those are exciting games. He's
probably, I would say, and you probably agree, top 3 MVP odds-wise for this season.
Sure.
So, I mean, yeah, they need him out in the field.
Yeah.
And does he meet, the next team we'll talk about, this is actually a tough division when you break it down. Cincinnati's the favorites. Would you agree with that statement? Cincinnati's the favorite to win this division?
Yes. As long as Burrow comes back healthy, yes.
And that's a great segue because health is exactly what is going to make or break this next team that can compete for the division, and that's the Baltimore Ravens. Everybody on this team seems to always get hurt. Lamar Jackson, always hurt. The running backs, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, always seem to be hurt. Wideouts, Rashad Bateman, hurt last year. OBJ, they brought in, always kind of hurt now.
So I heard a little thing about OBJ that when he went to the Rams, they did some tests on him, and they told him, like, hey, you don't have an MCL. He's like, really, doesn't feel like I don't have one. And they just kind of came to the conclusion. He's like, just run until the wheels fall off. And as we saw in the Super Bowl, that's what happened. The wheels fell off.
So do you think he has anything left? Because they brought him in specifically to help the
So
passing
I
game.
think that's the thing, that yes, the hands are there, the mind is still there. It's just, like, what can his body handle? That's all it is, right? I don't think it's gonna be a lack of heart. I don't think it's gonna be a lack of effort. I don't think it's gonna be like, a guy that's not trying to contribute in the right ways. It's just physically, when your knees just start to go like that, they could just go at any moment.
Yeah. Well,
So
thankfully, let's keep talking about the Wildcats for a second. They brought in a rookie in Zay Flowers, who's supposed to be extremely good, already building chemistry with Lamar Jackson. Rashad Bateman's going into his second year, but was a shortened year last year because of injury. So OBJ doesn't need to be what he once was. If
no.
he's just like 50% of that, then they're going to get good value out of him.
Oh no,
Because
he does not. I don't. If he plays
he
like the guy from the Giants, making those amazing diving one-handed.
That would be the best he could be. Like obviously
But
that's
that I think that's also like probably not ideal for
agreed.
somebody who's trying to avoid injury.
Yeah, like as long as he's really, really good with his routes and he's still got the hands to catch everything, then even if he's lost a step, that's a great addition to this Baltimore Ravens team. And more importantly, than the wide receivers altogether is that they brought in a new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, who likes to throw the ball more so than he likes to run it. So that's going to help Lamar Jackson. That's going to help this entire team. Maybe all the guys that have been running the ball down people's throats over the last 3 years, Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, they'll be less wear and tear as the season goes on. They need Lamar Jackson to be healthy. They are 45-16 in the regular season with Lamar Jackson as their starting quarterback.
They were within a play of knocking out the Bengals though with their backup Huntley though.
Yeah, they were. They were.
So,
and that's great to have. He's back. Huntley's back. And they got Josh Johnson. So you're right. But at the same time, Lamar Jackson's a different player. He's an MVP, former
sure.
MVP player. And when he won that MVP season, he led the league in touchdown passes, sorry. So like he can throw the ball. Now they've got an offensive coordinator that can throw the ball. He just has to stay healthy. He was watching the end of Baltimore seasons for the last 2 years from home. So if he stays healthy, this team the defense is there. The defense is probably the best in the division.
So he got a big contract in the end, right?
He did, yes.
Yeah. So I guess the holdout kind of worked out. Well, not really much of a holdout, but
it wasn't much of a holdout. It was
because he didn't miss any, he wasn't healthy and missing out on stuff, but
yeah,
it seemed like it was going that direction. My question is, what was the concern for the Ravens to pay the man? Because obviously he showed that you look at the other quarterbacks in the league relative to, he was worth the money. Compare just Daniel Jones, for example. Compare Dak Prescott, for example. Compare Kirk Cousins, for example. Would you not take Lamar Jackson over these guys?
1,000%. 1,000%. The problem was when he was redoing his contract, the last quarterback to kind of get paid that money was Deshaun Watson, who had his entire contract fully guaranteed. So I think Lamar Jackson wanted his contract fully guaranteed as well, which is something that we'll probably never see at the quarter position or any position again because all of the owners were super pissed about it. So I don't see it happen, a fully guaranteed contract like that happening again.
For a guy who's also like, I can understand that if this is like you're trying to steal Pat Mahomes from a team. Yeah. The guy who's coming off, like bad publicity, potential criminal charges,
I know,
away from the game for a couple of years, like of all the guys to be giving like, hey, we guarantee you the money. We need you that bad.
Yeah, no, it would be one thing. It would be completely acceptable and I think more understandable for people to pay Mahomes to take him away from the Chiefs with a fully guaranteed contract, but to do it with Deshaun Watson, who hadn't played football in a year and a half, that is crazy. So that's probably why Lamar Jackson had a hard time re-signing, because he was also his own agent, right? He didn't have an agent. Okay. He's his own agent. Yeah.
So he did good.
He did great. Now, who do you think? Let's talk about who you think is going to finish third in this division: Cleveland or Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh. Okay. I think Pittsburgh's on the rise.
Okay, let's talk about Pittsburgh then.
So I think obviously their coach is just known for having a winning record, but I mean, the winning record doesn't necessarily mean playoffs. It just means you have a better wins than you have losses column.
Yeah.
Now their QB, young guy, who
Kenny
I
Pickett.
think is probably going to be improving this year.
Yep.
He seems like he's on an upward trajectory in his career, right?
There's usually always a quarterback in his second year that takes a bigger step than everybody else. And it feels like that's Kenny Pickett this year.
Yeah. Now, what's their big receiver that makes the Pickens? That makes the like the guy can make the wild catches.
So that is George Pickens is their second year highlight reel catch. But Deontay Johnson is kind of their wide receiver one.
I get that. So my thing with this Pickens guy, what's the issue with him? He's not good at getting open. He's not good at getting, because obviously the guy can make the catch.
I think he's all of those things.
So he is a good player. So this is what I'm saying.
Yes.
So with him being a great player, with Deontay Johnson being a pretty solid pick, why shouldn't this team, just with more experience, just improve under good coaching? If they got one of the best defensive players in the league.
Their defense is great. They're the other team that there's probably a lot of Pittsburgh people, if they listen to this, being upset that I said Baltimore is the best defense in that division, because Pittsburgh has a say and an argument for that exact thing. The problem, and you said it, was with good coaching. The offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Matt Canada, is horrible. He is horrible. The reason that he liked Mitch Trubisky, and they brought in Mitch Trubisky, who's a backup quarterback now for them, is because Mitch would do exactly what Canada would say. So last year, Kenny Pickett didn't have hot routes, which, if you don't really know too much about the offenses in the NFL, is like when a quarterback stands over the line, reads the defense, he can change receivers' routes. He can change an audible to play. They didn't have that for Kenny Pickett last year, and they didn't have that in the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. So Mitch Trubisky would just go out there, and the reason Canada liked him is because Trubisky would just read the routes and throw to where he's supposed to throw. There's receiver 1A, there's receiver 1B, there's receiver, different options. And he would just do what the offense playbook is supposed to tell you to do. And he would just throw pick after pick, but it didn't matter because he was doing what he was told to do. Kenny Pickett's changed that. He wants hot routes. He wants different ways of getting in and out of audibles and going from runs to passes to runs. I just don't know if Matt Canada, their offensive coordinator,
wants to be a big league quarterback.
He wants to be an NFL quarterback. Exactly.
Pee-wee league quarterback. Just do what the coach tells you, or else he's going to bench you and put his son in.
Exactly. Exactly. So this offense pretty much goes as far as Matt Canada, their offensive coordinator, allows them to go. Now, Kenny Pickett in the offseason has gotten all the first team reps, whereas last year he maybe got bits and pieces of it. So is the number one guy. He's gained 15 pounds of muscle at least this offseason. So he's there. He's ready. He's able to do the job. Will they let him do that? Are they going to release him and let him use his brain as much as he has the physical gifts for it? Their running backs this year.
Just before you keep going on that, Tomlin strikes me as the guy who's going to let a player who's doing the right thing. Like, he seems like he's a player's kind of coach. Like, he likes to make the bond with the player. He seems to me, and again, I got no frame of reference on this, that he would want to encourage the quarterback doing the right thing to elevate the team and his own game to continue on that path, and not just like, well, I'm not going to stifle your growth and the team's success just to make this offensive coordinator happy. Agreed.
The problem is when you're a rookie quarterback, it's tough to do that.
Yeah, but he's not a rookie anymore.
Not a rookie anymore. So
yeah,
it's exactly, he potentially now has a little bit more of the dressing room too, and the backup with his teammates to go to the head coach and be like, hey, why are we still running this like ticky-tacky offense? Let's open it up. Let's get some trick plays. Let's do some things. Let's have some audibles, some hot routes. Let's go. And it is Matt Canada's last year under contract. So make or break season for the offense. It would be beneficial for him to let Kenny Pickett kind of take over if Kenny Pickett has the ability, because even if he doesn't have the ability, if Matt Canada says like, listen, you guys asked me to free him up. I freed him up all you can. It's not on me this year. So there's ways that they can both keep their jobs. They just have to, it's going to come down to Kenny Pickett. It's going to come back to Kenny Pickett.
I got you. Now, running back, which you're going to get into.
Yes.
It's a little bit of a sore spot for us because we last year had Najee Harris as our potential dark horse for being the top running back.
Yes.
That didn't come anywhere close to fruition.
No, it was horrible. He was awful last year.
Yeah.
He
Any
was like
signs
the
why he's going to be better?
24th, like he was the 24th ranked running back or something like that. He was something around that. He was very bad last year. Very bad. There was to the point where this offseason, people are thinking that his backup, Jalen Warren, is going to win the job going into this new season, which today, actually, the coaches came out and said, no, Najee's our starter, Jalen's the backup. But why is it even a conversation amongst other people watching the practices if Najee Harris is supposed to be that really good running back that they drafted high and had a great first year, and it's just didn't work out back. The second year didn't work out. So is he back this year for third year? To what he was before. He'll be back and he'll start, but you're right. Like, I don't know. We look like fools saying
I don't know enough about his game currently to comment on. I got to see a couple weeks of Pittsburgh football.
Yeah, and we're not out there watching preseason. We just don't have the time right now to watch Pittsburgh preseason games. We're busy. Summer.
I just don't weigh that much on preseason because
I hate preseason.
It's there's so many variables. I think in terms of who was trying out what. Were they trying out a guy on defense who bumbled the play that made the running back look good, missed a tackle because he's just not going to make the team? Or did the running back actually do well against a starting, squad, right?
Well, it's like preseason is not even meant for the coaches to find out like who their best players are and who their starters are. It's to find out who the 40th to 50th guys on the roster are going to be. Everyone knows who's going to be the top 35.
It's to put the floor in. It's not to put the ceiling.
Exactly. So, you already know who your stars are. You already know who your trusted players are and your veterans, who guys you're keeping. It's to find out who's not going to make the team at the very bottom of the list.
Yeah. So that's why I can't put too much weight on a guy's performance. Like I guess the Commanders brought a crushing end to this Baltimore Ravens
preseason
24-0 streak.
Yeah, they won something like 24 games in a row or something like that in
preseason games,
which is only 3 or 4 preseason games a year. So, like, well, who cares?
Well, yeah, it doesn't really mean that much. But apparently, I missed the game. But from the highlights I saw and from what I heard, that was a very good game. Washington and Baltimore both came out to play.
Well, I mean, good. I don't know who threw any of the touchdown passes. Did Kenny Pickett even play? Or sorry, Lamar Jackson play? Did Sam Howell play? Like
Howell would have played, yeah.
Okay, how long did he play?
I don't know.
Did he play the whole game? Like, you could put your starters out there and play every minute of every preseason game and win 50 preseason games in a row because no one else is going to do that.
Sure. I agree with you. I don't put too much weight in preseason.
No, doesn't mean anything. Now let's talk about the wide receivers for Pittsburgh real quick because you brought it up a little bit. George Pickens should have a breakout year this year. He's put in a position to be the second receiver on that team. He should be able to come out. He has this skill and the ability, and he has the highlight reel catches to be big this year.
Well, if this guy can moss the defensive backs, he's not going to get, if he's not the wide receiver one, he's probably not going to get the best of the coverage, right?
Well, exactly. Yeah, he won't.
Or he does, and then it just frees up Deontay Johnson, right?
Exactly. Who needs to have a comeback here? He didn't have any touchdowns last year. He had 17 red zone targets, which I think was the most out of anyone in the league in wide receiver. Those didn't work out. He has the yards. I just don't understand Pittsburgh forever. I'll never understand Pittsburgh wide receivers. They're good in Pittsburgh and then they leave and they're trash, or they like overstay their welcome in Pittsburgh and they have to go I just don't understand why wide receivers in Pittsburgh always look very, very, very good for like 2 years. And then all of a sudden are like the most annoying wide receivers in the league.
Antonio Brown won a Super Bowl outside of Pittsburgh.
Sure, with the greatest football player of all time. Example. Yeah, where like Chase Claypool, who we'll talk about later today as well. God. He's a nobody now. Allen Robinson is the third wide receiver on this team, which if you know that name, you know him from Chicago, you know him from St. Louis.
Jaguars.
Allen Robinson from the Jaguars.
Yeah, he
It's
started
just
there.
it. He hasn't lived up to the hype since he left Chicago.
He hasn't
So
lived up the hype since he was the best on the Jaguars, I'd say.
he was, yeah. And then he went to
Yeah,
Chicago, and they thought they'd break out there, and then he just didn't. It just doesn't have it.
no.
Just doesn't have it. Who knows? But I mean, the name is still big. Allen Robinson, wide receiver. The name is still big.
Yeah, but he's been in a decline. I don't see. I think it's the same thing as when what was the guy from the Bengals? He was on the Bengals for years. AJ Green went to Arizona.
Yeah.
The name was still big, but it's not the same.
No, it's not.
It's not the same.
It's not. And I think they got Patrick Peterson on defense, the corner.
Yes, yes.
So their defense, man, their defense is actually really good. I might have jumped the gun when I said that Baltimore defense is the best.
No,
Because they got,
I could see Pittsburgh's defense being keeping them in games.
yeah, I mean, well,
I think if Pittsburgh has a decent season, like not decent in terms of like playing well, their players slightly exceed expectations, they could finish second in that division for sure.
you don't think they could win it though?
I don't think they take the Bengals, assuming the Bengals are healthy. I still think the Bengals are out there to prove a point based off the past two seasons being in the Super Bowl and being one game away from the Super Bowl. I think they kind of realized that this current window needs to, is going to close.
You think so, but you don't think Baltimore could beat the Bengals either then?
I don't think so. I just don't see the Baltimore. I don't see Baltimore going through.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Just like in terms of it all kind of just falls apart, or their windows close, or their injuries just get them again, or
I have no reasoning for that. It's a hunch of a feeling. I just don't feel like this is the same Baltimore team that was competing for Super Bowls before.
copy. Is this the same hunch that Najee Harris was going to be the best running back in the league last year hunch, or is this a completely different type of hunch?
There's a different. It's coming from a different place. This is a little higher up in the body. The other one was
Yeah.
really low.
Which one's better? Usually you want a guttural instinct, which is more solid, which I think sits lower. So you're saying this hunch comes from your brain and not your guts.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
well, this comes from the left side of the brain.
Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns, I don't think they did anything big this year, did they? I think
No,
they're
they
just kind of staying on course from last season. Obviously, their quarterback had very little experience in the last couple of years. He had no practice. Comes in, it was rusty as hell. It took him a while to start getting used to it. He's got no more excuses now. So he should be performing now to the best of his abilities. I think his best abilities are behind him.
Yep. Well, I mean, he had 6 starts last year and he was very mediocre.
Yeah. But again, that was after having a lot of time off.
Yeah, sure. No, so if he had got the rust off and then he worked hard this past off season, now he's back to practicing with all the same players not the same players really, because they did get rid of some key parts. But having those reps in practice and having those number one sets and then going into the season knowing that you're going to get a full season out of them.
History, statistics, and just those gut feelings we talked about are not on the Cleveland Browns side to make any sort of impact.
Correct. Well, the other thing is they got rid of...
I don't see what they did to improve on this offseason from last year.
That's the thing, is they got worse if you look at it. In my eyes, they got worse. They might think they got better, but they got worse because they got rid of a key person that would help your quarterback, and that's one of your running backs.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb is still there, who's probably one of the better running backs in the league, but they had Kareem Hunt to come in immediately and without kind of losing a step, back him up. They replaced him with a guy named Jerome Ford and Demetric Felton Jr. Between those two guys, they have 8 carries total in the NFL.
Right. Now, this also opens up another discussion. Since this is relative, even though we're shitting on the Browns a little bit, this is a tough division. These teams always go at each other's throats.
Yep.
I could even potentially put the Browns within this category as one of the actual best favorites to go from worst to first.
Wow. I completely disagree.
Within the potential, there's 8 potential teams that can go worst to first. There's only 8 teams.
Yeah. You put them in the top two
Top
of
3.
those teams,
Top
top
3.
three of those teams.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get over that. We'll go over through that more detail next week. I don't like for all the
I
ones that
don't
I
think
looked
they're
at, I
going to
don't
do
think
it,
this is,
but I think they might be one of the better options.
I don't think they're top
Anyway.
three at all. Their wide receivers are like, okay, you have Amari Cooper, who is pretty good. But then like Donovan Peoples Jones, is that their number 2 guy? Or is Elijah Moore, who kind of like had a really messy breakup with the Jets going into his second or third season now? Is like, is he the second wide receiver? They got, all I know is they got rid of a really good running back in Kareem Hunt, and I don't know where they improved.
Hey, Kareem Hunt's still available, isn't he?
No, I think he went to the Saints, didn't he?
Oh, he is. It's official.
I think so. Yeah. I'll look it up, but I do want to say that if there's anything that Deshaun Watson can fall back on is like he's only 27 years old, so there's still potential for him to get his career back on track. Kareem Hunt he visited with the Saints, but he did not. He's no, not on a team, still unsigned.
No, yeah, so he can still come back. He can come back for less money if he wants to play.
I think that'd be smart on both their parts. Well, maybe not Kareem Hunt's part, but it'd be smart for the Browns to bring him back if they've got the room for it. I don't know who else they're paying that's making that much money.
Yeah. It's just remember another thing when you're talking about like Deshaun Watson, this is his chance to kind of get his career back. He's a quarterback for the Browns. That position has never got anybody's career anywhere.
No. Here's a
it's gotten your career into the ground.
Here's a question for you. If Deshaun Watson has a great year this year, a Geno Smith type of year, will he win comeback player of the year? Can he even be in the talks for comeback player of the year based on why he is coming back?
I think so. I mean, I think if what he did was so egregious that the NFL can't ever give him an award or ever give him any honors, they shouldn't have brought him back.
So the answer would be no. There's no way he could possibly, even if he is the best quarterback of the year.
No, my answer is yes, he can win the award because I'm saying
really,
if what he did was so egregious,
which it was,
the NFL wouldn't honor him with an award. This is not my personal views. This is I'm saying like the NFL, because that means the NFL would have to, if they kind of hold out on him, that means they're admitting to making a mistake or that they shouldn't have brought him back. But if you brought the guy back, then he's in, guys in the running for a Super Bowl, guys in the running for everything, right? If you've reinstated a player, you've reinstated him.
Yeah, sure. But to give him comeback player of the year, even nod, people will be like, oh, what's he coming back from? Oh, some horrible, 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 horrible things. Not an injury, not just a bad 8 years of luck being a backup quarterback, but from some really awful, horrible, horrible things.
Right. That was for 1 year. What was the year before? Holdout?
He held out.
Yeah.
And while he was holding out, he was doing horrible, awful, horrible things. So not only he didn't want to honor his contract, so he chose not to play. And then he did some horrible, awful, no good things. And then he got suspended for those horrible, no good, awful things. And then he comes back and he wins comeback player of the year. There's no way that would be allowed to happen.
I'm going to disagree. Not on the fact that it's morally correct that he wins or my personal beliefs that he should be in the running. Just the fact of what I think the NFL would do. And I think that they would give him the award if he deserved it.
No way. No way.
I don't think he gets Walter Payton Man of the Year, but
they would never even give him comeback player of the year award because then it would make people ask what he's coming back from, and then they'd have to answer those questions all over again.
So we had the same discussion with Geno Smith last year.
Yeah, but Geno Smith, sure, he shouldn't have won either because he did not coming back from anything. He just got better. He should be most improved.
No, but we read the definition of the criteria of the award, and it is for somebody who overcame adversity. It doesn't say anything about if it's self-inflicted adversity or, adversity thrown at you.
horrible. I don't even want to talk about this anymore. It just leads to problems. There's no way they would let him win it. There's no way. It would just cause more controversy that the NFL doesn't need. They'd be literally walking themselves into a problematic situation. You don't agree with that?
I see your side of it, but I just think if he deserves it, it's a long shot that he's going to deserve it.
We wouldn't deserve it at all.
Well, no. I mean, does he deserve a $300 million contract?
No, he does not either. Oh man, I could have gone off the rails there. Let's go to the NFC North. The fun for me, my favorite division.
Yeah.
It's also my most frustrating division and
So
my
I
most
think
hated division. But it's my
we gotta
favorite division.
Start at the bottom. Who we think's at the bottom of that division?
Okay. I don't know who you think's at the bottom of that division.
Well, I'm gonna open it up with it's either the Bears or the Packers, and I might lean towards the Packers right now.
Okay. We can start with that. I don't know if I agree with that, but we'll start with that.
Well, they have the biggest question mark of everybody of the quarterbacks. Jared Goff is probably the most, like as of last year, he was probably the best quarterback in that division last year.
Yep.
Sorry, outside of Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers had a down year last year. He wasn't great last
He did.
year.
Aaron Rodgers was not great this year, and
He
everybody
was
knows
not Rodgers.
he's gone.
Aaron Rodgers.
He's out of here.
But he's gone.
The Lions sent him packing with that last win.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins. I don't even want to get into Kirk Cousins with you. I know your feelings for him. Then we got I'm blanking on the guy's name from the I like
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields. Justin Fields, I think he did great considering how terrible that team was. I thought individually he was playing well.
Yeah.
And I think he's only going to be better this year because he started off the year worse and kind of got better and better and gained more traction as the season went on. And I think he's going to do a lot better. And, they're saying that I don't think DJ Moore is the most amazing receiver in the league, but I think he's pretty decent. And just an addition of one more guy who can catch balls is going to help him because the guy can move.
So are you starting with the Bears or are you starting with the Packers then? You've switched teams.
No. So then that leaves the one guy who we don't really know about.
Correct. And I will say this, Jordan Love is the most feared player in the NFC North. Now, let me say that again, because he is the most feared player in the NFL North, and it has nothing to do with his on-field production, his skill level, his potential. It's because we don't know what he's capable of. And so far in the last 30 years, the Packers have only started their season openers in week 1 starters with 2 guys, and they're both Hall of Famers. So if they did it again with Jordan Love, everybody in the NFC North is going to be fucking pissed.
Yeah.
Pissed.
But they've done them all the right way because each one of those guys sat behind their predecessor to learn the apprenticeship, the QB apprenticeship.
Yep. Which we both agree is a huge part of the NFL and needed.
Yeah. So there's no reason why Jordan Love shouldn't be decent, relative to his, experience.
Yep.
He was sitting behind one of the best. And again, this is a TV show. It is, sensationalism. But watching Hard Knocks, Aaron Rodgers does kind of give off that vibe that he is there to kind of mentor other guys. Like he's not just.
Do you think that's because he's in a new? Do you think that's because he's in a new place though? Like, do you think he was that guy? Because he was angry in Green Bay, and it seems like in New York,
I think he was angry in terms of trying to win. But over that time, I'm sure there was plenty of weeks because you're seeing the upset on a Sunday afternoon when things didn't go well. But during the rest of the week, I'm sure when they're trying to get better, I don't see why he wouldn't be mentoring Jordan Love.
I don't know, because you're right. In New York on Hard Knocks, they kind of give him this like veteran leadership role where he's talking to the young guys, he's being sociable and kind of teaching. Whereas I don't know if he was just angry in Green Bay all the time. I mean, obviously that was stuff we just heard because we didn't actually get to see it on film because they didn't do Hard Knocks there. But I don't know.
But he also gave off some pretty good vibes though. Like the other stuff he did outside of football, right? Like he didn't come across as kind of this piece of shit guy who doesn't want to associate with anyone else, right? He kind of had this cool mantra about him about, I don't want to say like peace and love, but like almost like holistic healing kind of thing, like
those almost go hand in hand.
yeah,
really.
I know, but it's I could very much based on that see like the personality that he's kind of shown forth, him being kind of a good
Well, yeah, I mean, like if you listen
professional
to
relation with Jordan Love.
Pat McAfee, he always said the right thing. He always said the calm thing, the most intelligent thing, for his brand, his personality. You just always hear the bad things that come out from the press, which was part of the reasons he always talked on just the Pat McAfee show, is because he could say what he wanted to say. It would never get twisted. Now let's get back to Jordan Love, because I hate Aaron Rodgers. And I'm about to hate Jordan Love, I think. But he's set up pretty good with the running game. Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon are both back. Both very good still. He's got to find his wide receivers. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, they're both in their second years in the NFL. Both rookies last year. Christian Watson kind of broke out towards the end with Aaron Rodgers, though. I think he played he missed the first 4 or 5 games or something like that because of injury, I believe. Came back and I think he scored a touchdown like almost every game. He was great with Aaron Rodgers. Apparently, Romeo Doubs is having more of a connection with chemistry was the word I was looking for earlier, with Romeo Doubs. But there's no veteran wide receiver here. That goes to Dodds, Watson in the second year, and then Jaden Reed is the third wideout. He's a rookie. So like the very young wide receiving corps for Jordan Love to work with.
Yeah, so again, this is a big mystery. I'm putting them at the bottom just right now because I have no info. I have no info on this team.
I would love for them
There's
to
too many
finish last
question
place.
marks. There's too many question marks. And also
especially when the question mark is at quarterback. You can't ignore that.
Yeah.
Can't ignore that. Okay, so then let's go to, you think it was between them and the Bears?
Yeah, so just because of the question mark, I'm going to put them in the bottom right now.
Okay.
And then I'll take the Bears to go third
in the division. Okay. Okay, let's talk about their quarterback, because he's going into his third season. Last year, 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, only a 60% completion rate, though. That's not good. It's not good at all. Did not throw the ball very well last year. And he threw it even worse in his rookie season. Matt Eberflus is the Bears head coach. He's a defensive coordinator that came out of Philly. Did good things with Philly. I think he won the Super Bowl with them. I mean, and then like it boils down to Justin Fields. I mean, I like DJ Moore on this team a lot. I think whenever you get a quarterback that's young in the third season, the minute you give him a proven wide receiver, a veteran proven wide receiver, they usually do very well with each other. I think Justin Fields, DJ Moore take that big step this year. They have the biggest connection this year out of any new combination between wide receiver and quarterback.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, great input.
Great input. Well, I mean, I'm just thinking of who else I'd be. Like, I'd like to say Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff.
But they were together last year. They were already together. They were already have that connection.
But you're saying they're going to take the biggest
most improved step with a first time, like,
how can it be most improved? How can it be most improved if it didn't exist?
Justin Fields' Justin Fields' personal stats are going to jump huge because of DJ Moore.
Okay.
That's what I mean by that. You always have to give a kid a star number one receiver, and I think DJ Moore is that guy. I think DJ Moore can be that guy. There are other wide receivers suck. Chase Claypool is horrible. I don't know why he's on this team. I don't know why he's on any team. He hasn't put in what his mouth says that he can do.
It's funny that like as soon as he started talking is when his game started diminishing.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes just keep your head down and be what you are. Like he was catching touchdowns like every game 2 years ago, and then started talking about it, and now he can't do anything.
The only thing I've ever learned at work, and I've been working since I was 8 years old, is the guy that always gets brought back and keeps his job is just the quiet one who does his job and doesn't piss anybody off.
Yeah, doesn't need to be the best either. just be a little above average. Is you're quiet and do your job. You're gonna stick. You're gonna stick around for a long time, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
Darnell Mooney is their third wide receiver. He is going into his third year. I don't like a lot of talk about him last year being a breakout wide receiver. Did not happen, which is why they went and got a DJ Moore. So I don't know. It'd be DJ Moore and Justin Fields or bust for this team. Running backs Khalil Herbert, and they brought in Dante Foreman from the Panthers. DJ Moore is also from the Panthers. Khalil Herbert, do you think he can be a number one guy? He's very tiny.
I don't know. I don't know enough about him. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
It's just when these teams are at the bottom of the competing for last place, kind of fall off the radar a little bit.
Right. Well, they
fall off my radar. Sorry.
What the team did this year to get better was Justin Fields was sacked 55 times last year. That was the most in the league, tied with Russell Wilson. They drafted offensive lineman at 9 overall, and they signed a guard out of free agency in Nate Davis. So they worked on trying to protect him better, but their defense was worst in the league last year by far. And they got $32 million in cap space left. They haven't really improved their defense. There's still guys out there, Yannick Ngakoue, Jason Pierre-Paul, Carlos Dunlap, Melvin Ingram, Robert Quinn. They should bring them all in if they've got $32 million to use this year. There's no point in that just sitting there. When you're worst defense in the league, awful offensive line.
Worst team in the league.
Yeah.
They were the worst team in the league.
So, and you still think the Packers will be last place, eh?
I'm just putting that question mark there, but
okay. Well,
either way, here's the thing. For fans like us, do we care if you're fourth or third? If you're not making the playoffs, you're not doing anything. Do we care?
You care about your division. You care about your division, and you care about the teams that should do well, and then they don't. The best to worst teams, like the Los Angeles Rams, Super Bowl to what the hell happened?
Right.
Well, the team that won this division last year, the Minnesota Vikings, and your best buddy Kirk Cousins. I even wrote LOL down here beside him. Like, come on, Kirk Cousins again. We're going into another year with Kirk Cousins as your starting quarterback. I hated him last year as a starting quarterback.
I gotta ask you this.
What are you doing?
You watch the show Quarterbacks?
I did not, because it revolves around Kirk Cousins.
Are you serious? You specifically didn't watch it because it has Kirk Cousins?
Yes.
Okay.
Why would I want more? Why do I want to get more angry every day?
He tears up in it at one point or 2 points.
Little bitch boy Kirk Cousins. What does he cry about?
Winning an award.
What award did he win?
I'm trying to think. It's the
was it like an award they give out at church or something?
No, it was at the NFL awards breakfast. They give it.
Best egg scrambled omelet?
No. It's the I'm blanking on it. Bart Starr Award.
Okay. I don't even know. Bart Starr was a quarterback, right?
He won Super Bowls 1 and 2.
Oh, so it's the oldest quarterback.
Yeah, Packers guy.
He's the oldest quarterback this year.
He's a Packers guy.
Okay, well, congratulations on your Bart Starr Award, Kirk Cousins. His backup is Nick Mullins and Jaron Hall, who's a rookie. They also got rid of Dalvin Cook, who was their best running back. Alexander Madison is good. He'll take over. A little bit younger, fresher legs. Wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, best in the league. Rookie, Jordan Addison, supposed to come in, be very explosive. And then KJ Osborne, who's the third wide receiver, will also be back. Now, TJ Hawkinson should get some love here too, because he can catch a lot of balls for this team out of the tight end position.
That was a big loss for the Lions, I thought.
Huge loss for the Lions, yeah. So he had a big year when he went to the Vikings at the halfway through the season last year. Now, here's the thing about the Vikings is that Kirk Cousins sucks. That's end of story. Should they trade for a little bit of breaking news that happened today? Trey Lance, the highly potentialed quarterback from the San Francisco 49ers, was officially demoted to the third quarterback on their depth chart. He didn't go to practice today. They're looking at trading him. The Minnesota Vikings seems like a good spot to trade for a Trey Lance, no?
Okay, well, that's assuming Trey Lance is going to pan out. What has Trey Lance
Kirk
ever
Cousins
done?
isn't going to pan out.
I think Kirk Cousins is he is who you know who he is, right? He's not going to take you to the Super Bowl and win it,
He's not going to
but
take you to the Super Bowl.
no, he's not going to take you to the Super Bowl.
He's not going to take you to the Super. He's not going to take you to the playoffs and win it.
We take you to the playoffs. You just can't win it.
There you go. So what's the point then?
Uh, it keeps your fans kind of interested. It keeps you competitive. My point is, what has Trey Lance ever done in his football career for people to think he's going to be successful?
He's just got more potential than Kirk Cousins does right now.
Does he have potential though? I mean, like
Yeah.
you said it yourself how awful of a word that is. At some point when the evidence is stacking against the potential, I did a little bit of digging, not that much because I don't do that much. He didn't play that much, and he was never that good in college either. He
You're
never
right.
played that much
He
in
is
the
the
NFL.
definition of the word potential, which is not a good word.
No, but when it keeps coming season after season of just the guy has he ever put in a stellar performance over a season?
So then if it costs you nothing, it costs you a 7th rounder, why not go out and get him and have him behind Kirk Cousins?
So who's behind him right now? Mullins?
Yeah, Nick Mullins.
Another San Francisco product?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why is he any worse? You already got him.
Trey Lance has more potential.
More potential.
His athletic ability is there more than Nick Mullins. He can do more things with the football than everybody else if he just gets a chance to do it.
But apparently he's just completely inaccurate at throwing.
So is Kirk Cousins.
I don't think he's that inaccurate.
The only reason the balls get caught is because Justin Jefferson can jump 14 feet in the air and catch it.
Sure, but if Kirk Cousins can get it that much closer than Trey Lance, make it a little easier on Jefferson.
Here's the thing about Minnesota last year. They are the only team in NFL history to win 12 games and have a negative point differential for the season. They had 3 less points than they scored last year. 11 of their 13 wins were scored by 1 point. One were within 1 score. Like this team, I don't think they have the ability to maintain that number of wins with that stat alone and that quarterback. I just don't think they can do it. And I hope they can't do it because that means that this division will be wide open for your.
So before you go there, because I already think I know where you're going to place your Detroit Lions. What order have you got? Second, third, and fourth in this division?
I got Minnesota Vikings 4th. I've got the Chicago Bears 3rd. I've got the Green Bay Packers 2nd. And I've got my and your and everybody's Detroit Lions in first place in this division. And I'll tell you why. It's pretty simple. They have pretty much the same quarterback that's just, only finished the last 9 games last year with 15 touchdowns and no interceptions. And not only that, but they had the best re-signing of anybody in the league, and that is their offensive coordinator. Ben Johnson is back. If he would have left, he is the guy that made Jared Goff a better quarterback again and made the offense work and built it around the skills of the players that he had. He is the genius behind this offense. If they lost him, it would have been another year of just upset Detroit Lions fans. We have a lot of hope this year, and it is the hope that kills you, but we have a lot of hope. I am going into this season with the highest hopes I think I've ever had with the Detroit Lions team. And I'm very afraid of that.
Yeah, but I can see where it's coming from. I think like Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be a top 10 receiver.
Yeah.
I think he's only going to be better this year.
Yep. They brought Marvin Jones Jr. back, who left for 2 years to go play in Jacksonville. He did nothing but catch touchdowns when he was with the Lions.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he's a red zone guy, right?
He's a red zone guy, yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. We need red zone guys.
That's fine. Yeah.
The thing that surprised me about the Lions offseason was they got rid of both their running backs. DeAndre Swift, gone. I'm okay with that, to be honest, because he just got hurt all the time, and he wasn't really the guy that they thought he was going to be. And then the thing that kind of makes me nervous is they got rid of Jamal Williams. Now, Jamal Williams might have been small. He might have lacked a little bit of that skill that you want, but he scored 17 touchdowns last year. He was the guy that you saw in Hard Knocks that was a leader vocally, was well respected amongst the team, the press, the fans in Detroit. Everyone loved him. They got rid of him. I don't know why, because they brought in David Montgomery, who's kind of on the same contract that Jamal Williams got with New Orleans. Montgomery's a little younger, but I just don't like.
It's
Is it an
sluggish
upgrade?
though, isn't he?
Is he just he's got injury, like he get injury problems. I
Yeah.
don't know
Now
what the thinking
Jamal
there.
Williams, he's the third string on
No,
Z.
he'll just back up. He'll start the first three games.
Okay.
Um, I think that's a weird guy to get rid of, to be honest. With everything that's going on with Dan Campbell and having that extension within Jamal Williams in the locker room, it's kind of a weird thing to get rid of. I don't know why.
But do you think it
Um,
was strictly a money thing that they thought, sometimes it's like, hey, we're going to gamble and think that we can get away with not paying the guy. Somebody else pays him. And they're like, okay, fuck. Well,
Well,
too late now.
so they said we're not going to pay you what you want, and then they brought in David Montgomery for the same contract that basically Jamal Williams is getting. So they already gave the money away before someone else could offer it to Jamal Williams.
Okay. That's what I was, yeah. So that's the order of operations. So,
It was very strange. But they brought in Montgomery, and everybody I've been reading about him. Watched him a little bit when he was with Chicago, but they all say that he's just a younger, smaller version of Jamal Williams, which none of those things really appeal to me. I want to win. I don't need to go younger right now. And then they brought in, speaking of younger, a running back in the first round of the draft, which blew everybody's heads off. Jahmyr Gibbs, out of Georgia or Alabama. I didn't get it at the time. Everyone's raving about this kid.
I'm hearing great things about him. They're saying that he could be in the conversation for offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, yeah, he's up there, and I just don't.
Did you watch preseason at all with him?
I didn't watch any preseason games. No, I don't like preseason.
No, but I mean, not the whole
I don't
game.
even know if he's played.
Follow up
Oh
on the
yeah, he's played a
highlights.
few. No, I've watched the highlights, but nothing stuck out to me. Nothing that made me go, okay, that was worth the pick. I have my hopes are up again with him because of what I'm reading, but it was since Barry. It's just every time they bring in a new guy, like DeAndre Swift was supposed to be just like Jahmyr Gibbs. When they brought him in, it was like, oh, what a great pick. He's going to be so good. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He can run. He can after the first step, or hit after the first hit. It's I'll have to see it. I mean, my hopes are up there. I just have to see it. The one other downfall with this team is
Defense.
defense.
Oh,
And let's get back to
defense
James
killed them.
before defense. Let's get to
Scoring
Jameson.
33 points last year, but letting in 35.
Let's talk before we go defense. Let's talk about Jameson Williams, who will come back after 6 games. He was suspended for gambling on football, or he was just no. He was suspended for gambling on other sports, just in Lions facility, which you're not allowed to do. But he has potential too, which is a shitty word. But he was a rookie last year. He's supposed to be a great deep threat. We'll see what he can do when he comes back. But right now, I'm happy still with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Marvin Jones Jr., and Josh Reynolds as our third wideout. All of those guys can catch the ball. Very happy with that offense. I think they're going to be top 5 offense this year. Their defense is the problem.
Sorry to kind of cut in, but since you mentioned his name 100 times, the other St. Brown brother, is he still
He's in Chicago? Yeah,
he's still there.
Chicago. Yeah.
Okay.
Equanimous St. Brown? Equanimous St. Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Where
still in
does he
Chicago.
rank in the...
He's not as good as his brother. I mean,
chart?
he's older than his brother, right? He played in Green Bay for a while.
Yeah.
So Amon-Ra St. Brown's in his 3rd season. I think Equanimous. It's another god. Aquinas St. Brown. He's I think 5 years or 6 years in. He's never had the ability that's Amon-Ra's had. Even coming into the league, he wasn't as highly touted as Amon-Ra.
Right.
But you're okay. Let's get back to the defense. They did try to fix it this year. The Lions. I don't know. The big problem was their defensive backs. They got rid of their highly touted corner and Odu. How did you say his name again? Okuda. I can't believe I forgot that. Already off the team for a month. Don't remember anymore. But they brought in CJ Gardner-Johnson, Cameron Sutton. Those guys are huge additions to our secondary. Then we brought in Jack Campbell, first round pick, linebacker. We need him, and our defensive line is strong. So we also drafted Brian Branch from Alabama, who's a steal in the second round. Like, this defense should be better. It's just how much better will they be? That's the huge.
You didn't even mention their biggest draw on defense too.
Aiden Hudson is on their defensive line.
Yeah,
but it's I think we talked more about his sister last year than we did him.
Well, she was featured a lot on Hard Knocks more than he was, I guess. But
the defense will be the X factor here. I mean, if they get just that much better, this team,
honestly, like
the world is for theirs.
What would their record have been? And you might have to pause everything to go look at this one up. If those 3-point games that they lost, they just could stop a little bit of that bleeding and not lose by 3 points.
They would have had
at least 2 losses on the season.
I was gonna say there's at least 2 games off the top of my head where I'm like, that we win those and then we're in the playoffs.
I think they only lost 2 games by more than 3 points of their losses.
Yeah, it's this team. Like, sometimes there's so much hope behind this team.
Yeah.
But the other thing that is an X factor is, are they going to be able to handle that pressure more than last year, where it's just like, this is the worst team in the division. They're on Hard Knocks. They're going to suck. And they overperformed. Can they go into this season as the favorite in the NFC North and like reach that?
I think so. I think Jared Goff's got a second wind in him, like a second chance at kind of making his career memorable.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to show why he was a first-round pick, because he started off good with the Rams. They went to a Super Bowl.
You went to a Super Bowl with him, yeah.
And then things just kind of got stagnant.
Yeah.
Then they switched it up. He got brought in Stafford. Obviously, we know what happened there. He got a new change of scenery, and it kind of gave him a little resurgence. And I don't see why not. I think it's a good fit for him for whatever it was working. Like, whatever wasn't working in LA seems to be working, because even in LA, there was only a couple games where they were just putting up. Like, I remember there was a game against the Chiefs or something. They put up 50 points or something.
Yeah, in like a Monday night game or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
there was a few games where they were putting up big numbers, but and maybe I'm just kind of only remembering the Super Bowl where they were just dull and not putting up many points.
That was the one against Brady, right?
Yeah, I think it was like 7-3 or something.
That was a bad Super Bowl.
It was 10-3.
That was a very bad Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think back on, like, I think he had a lot of low production games where it seemed that at the Lions, they were scoring 28 points, 30 points, 35 points, 42 points.
The offensive
they scored 42, let in 45.
Yeah, the offensive coordinator is the key to this team being what it was last year.
I think the key is the defensive coordinator just needs to do a little bit more.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, they fixed some of the key positions and bringing guys that are proven in this league. So we'll see what they can do on defense. But they have if they're just a little bit better, 2 or 3 points better each game, then it's a winning season for the Lions.
Could you not say this, though, of this division, by unbiased opinion, who's the best coach
of this division?
Yeah.
Unbiased opinion.
It's
Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
Who else would it be?
I don't know. Matt LaFleur.
I feel like Aaron Rodgers took over that. Had a lot to do with that.
Not him.
And it's not Matt Eberflus from the Bears, and it's not Kevin O'Connell from the Vikings.
No.
But I do appreciate what Kevin O'Connell can get out of Kirk Cousins and win a division. There's no reason that anyone should win a division.
Throw the ball to Jefferson?
There's no reason anyone should win a division last year with Kirk Cousins as their quarterback.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you one thing, though, about Kirk Cousins before you end this all in the show quarterbacks. He finally gave an explanation of why he went to that short pass at the end of the playoffs against the Giants to TJ Hawkinson.
What was it?
He said that he just didn't trust his throw to the coverage they're giving on Jefferson, because he said that it was just covered. He just thought he couldn't make that throw. So he thought he had a better chance for a one-on-one for Hawkinson to make the catch and make a move to get the first down. So
even he doesn't believe in himself.
He gave the explanation. That's all I'm saying. I didn't say he justified.
All I heard was, I don't believe in myself.
They lost the game.
All I heard is, I don't believe in myself. That's all I heard.
He went for the higher probability, he thought.
Oh,
in the end,
so fun
I still disagree.
Watch.
I think you throw it to your playmaker.
Yeah.
And, how many times have we seen just that miracle play where your playmaker comes up with it?
I watched Calvin Johnson for 8 years. Megatron would just throw it up to him. Matthew Stafford made a career by just hucking the ball up to his best player.
Yeah.
Friggin' Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, Megatron and Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, there you go. The Bears would be the other team that are eligible from that worst to first, which we will go over next week. We're going to do a bunch of predictions. We'll do some fun stuff next week. We're finally done the preview stuff. We can get into just like predictions and what we expect coming up with this 2023 season. Anything else to say, Poya?
No, but I'm going to prepare some jokes and start making this a little bit more entertaining once the season gets going. We got some real stories to talk about. Everything's still hush hush in the NFL right now.
You're still gonna phone it in for next week then?
No. Next week's a fun week. That's the class party week almost, right? Like
exactly.
Yeah.
It's where you go meet your classmates.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll see you next week, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Hey, if you're a fan of Formula One, then I've got the perfect podcast for you. The Pit Stop Podcast, presented by the Ordinary Podcasting Network. After every single race of the Formula One schedule, Jordan and Tyler will break it down, give you some news, analysis, insight, before answering your questions and setting you up for the next race. That's the Pit Stop Podcast, available everywhere you get your podcasts.
Running Down the Clock is brought to you by the Ordinary Podcast Network and is every Thursday running until the week after the Super Bowl. We hope you enjoyed enough to subscribe and tune in again next week.